But so you talk about, you use a word like you have to be competent and be persistent. I'm not hearing another word though, and I want you to think about this word, and that's called courage. So how would you describe the element of courage which a leader in tough circumstances who has to make high-risk choices, where do you find that courage? Do you have to have, is it courage or is it foolhardy? Where do you find it?
I don't think you necessarily, certainly leaders need support systems just like anybody else. That whole saying about it's lonely at the top, that's just not a cliche. That could be quite true, especially if you're going into a tough situation. Everybody is your friend and they'll have your back, but they don't tell you just how far back they're going to be. And so I think that courage, you have to know your environment going into it. You have to know what you're going into. And in some respects I knew, in some respects I didn't. But I knew where my heart was at and I knew what my intentions were. The real courage comes from saying, I know this could cost me personally, but I think it is in the best interest of our students. It takes that type of courage.
When you were doing the things that you were doing in the Chicago Community College system, which had really, you helped to turn that around and to get that on a different trajectory, but it was at a pretty low point in terms of metrics and outcomes when you joined. But so talk to me about the allies you found and the support. Where were the faculty?
So let me just give a little context here, because you hear about the reform or the turnaround, but let me put it in context for people who may not know. Just quantifiable and some non-quantifiable context. So from a quantifiable perspective, the graduation rate was 7%.
What is it, 70?
7.
Oh.
The number after 6 and the number before 8. 7. It was 7%. We were losing 54% of our students within their first semester. Roughly 80% of the programs were graduating fewer than 45 people. 90% of our students needed some form of remediation, and 50% of them needed remediation in math, English, and writing. And many of the programs that were being offered were not tied to any labor market. And just to give you an example, when I went to city colleges with an idea to transfer to IMT, they were teaching Fortran. That's what the programming language. When I went back as chancellor, they were teaching Fortran. So that's the quantifiable stuff. The non-quantifiable, getting at your question, and this gets to culture. See, those statistics I just told you about, we can work at changing those. We can align our programs to the job market. We can figure out the remediation needs. We can figure out, how to put in pathways so that we keep students on a focused plan to get them through our systems quicker. The harder thing to change is the things you can't quantify. So all those statistics I just said to you, and I heard gasp in the audience, that wasn't the reaction I got. There was a lot of denial. People said my data was wrong. I got it from the federal government. People said, I don't count transfer. It was a huge denial that was happening. And in a way, to be fair, I didn't understand it at first, but I've grown to understand that we all can become products of our environment. So if your big focus and measure of success has been enrollment or access, and it has not been quantifiable success, then this is hard. This is a hard pill to swallow. So there was denial, a lot of denial, and that I fought my entire 7 years. Now that wasn't.
Didn't you have a champion somewhere in there?
Yeah. So there was. We had.
Didn't you work for the mayor? Where was Rob? I want the inside scoop on this one.
Yeah, that'll be another one. Read the book. So there were, and this is very much detailed in my book. There were faculty who said, we want to fix this. Like, there is a problem. I mean, it took a while for it to sink in because I didn't want it to come across as, a personal slap in the face to anybody or blaming anybody. Nobody came to work every day saying, we want a 7% graduation rate. But remember, I took over this institution in 2010 before any of these reforms were being talked about. There was no playbook for what to do, and community colleges were just starting to become a part of the reform. So we had focused task force, and over 200 faculty served on those task forces over my entire 7 years, and they put in a total of 240,000 work hours working to fix those systems. The business community were very much allies. The institution didn't have a good reputation with the business community, but the business community wanted it to succeed. Our students were their future employees, so they were very much involved. We brought in the intentional collaboration that I'm talking about. We had the Civic Consultant Alliance who got us tons of free pro bono work from people like McKinsey. And so we had a lot of allies, and that helped a tremendous amount. So whereas there was a lot of denial, there were a lot of allies and at least people who wanted to help to solve it.
So I want to ask you a question about risk and failure. Because those are two sort of the willingness to take risks, the willingness to fail, are attitudes that we're encouraging people to embrace, to lean into, because you don't innovate and make change and without disruption, as you've noted. But you're also talking about risking and failing with the lives of students. And so how do you balance that need to write a new playbook, to try things very differently, to take the risks and potentially to fail, with the fact that it's not just you, it is
exactly
students.
And that's a good question. And
well, thank you. I tried.
Because that's one that needs clarity. So we were very strategic and purposeful. So we had a 5-year strategy with clear goals and clear metrics. And so everything we did, we asked ourselves, will this advance in either of these metrics? But when I talk about taking risks, I'm talking about taking risks with those things that make us uncomfortable. Typically, we're held back from those things that we don't like or that make us uncomfortable, or maybe our faculty won't like, or maybe someone else won't like. You don't take risks. You don't stop yourself from taking risks because you think it may make someone else uncomfortable. So those risks are not the risks that you put on the backs that you say, I'm taking a risk with students. It's not that. It's the risk that we don't take internally inside our organization because they're making us uncomfortable. Now, sometimes people will frame it as though it's a risk to students, but it's really about those things that, we've been doing it this way for a long time, and we're just not sure if we change it or do it differently, what will happen. And you can test some of your hypotheses and some of your theories.
So, the challenge of being the last speaker and the last program at the end of a conference is that you may not keep faith with your audience, who we have agreed, we have told this program will end at a certain time, even though they're hungry for more and we could talk more. I want to thank you for being with us, for being so open, so vulnerable, so truthful, and about the work that you've done, and for now being telling a powerful story of educational transformation from the personal lens of your life and your experience, but also for being the work that you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our speaker, our closing speaker, a big hand.
And yes, let's do that. Let's do it.